Hello friends, welcome to Digimento. So today we will be discussing about policies, governance and administration. Basically we had a live session for this, but there was some problem with the YouTube, so we were not able to continue the live streaming. So that's why I thought I'll record these classes and I'll give it to you so you can watch them. Okay, tomorrow onwards we will continue with the live, and we are really sorry for the inconvenience caused today. So that's why we thought of recording it and giving it to you. So yeah, we will be discussing about the policies, governance and the administration. So this is the topic of discussion today. Okay, let's quickly begin. So before that, this is our channel UGC NTA Net Computer Science, and if you have not yet subscribed to our channel, please do subscribe and also please press the bell icon for receiving the notifications. And if you are preparing for GATE, NTA, UGC NET or PGT Computer Science, you can avail our online courses. So online courses are available, and for more details you can visit our website. So this is our website www.digimento.com, or you can call to this number for more details. Okay, now let's begin now. So before we move into the administration, the governance and the policies, we need to understand briefly about the constitution of our India. Why? Because the constitution provides many provisions for education. So there are various provisions for education which is mentioned in our constitution. So for that purpose, we need to have a basic idea about our constitution of India. So Constitution of India, it's the supreme law of the country. So it is the supreme law of India. So supreme means the most important or the supreme law of our country. Now it lays down framework which defines the fundamental political principles, establishes the structure, the procedures, the powers and the duties of the government institutions. So first one, I'll explain this. It lays down the framework defining fundamental political principles. So what does it mean? It means that it lays down certain framework it lays down what should be the principles that we should follow. So it defines the constitutional principles. So there are certain principles which the constitution upholds. So various principles that the constitution upholds. Then it establishes structure, procedures, powers and duties of the government. So this means how should a government function. So this is about how should a government be functioning. So this is basically about how should a government function. So constitution also says how a government should function, how it should deliver the services. Etc. Then we also have the longest written constitution. So we have the longest written constitution in the world. So globally in the world we have the longest written constitution. Again, the chief architect of the Indian constitution, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. So all these points are very important for your examinations. So that's why I am mentioning about all these. So Dr. B.R. Ambedkar is the chief architect of the Indian constitution. He was the chairman of the drafting committee of the constitution. So drafting committee of the constitution. Okay. Now regarding the details of the articles, schedules and the parts of the constitution. At the time of the commencement of the constitution, that is when our constitution was framed, that is at the time of its commencement. So commencement of the constitution was in 1950. The constitution was enacted in 1950 on January 26th of January 1950. Okay, so this is the day when the constitution was enacted. At the time of commencement of the constitution, there were 395 articles which were divided into 22 parts and 8 schedules. So 395 articles, 22 parts and 8 schedules. And it almost consisted of 80,000 words. Okay. So this is regarding the enactment, during the enactment of the constitution. Now, currently the Constitution of India has 448 articles. So, this is the present status. So, currently the Constitution of India has 448 articles, 25 parts and 12 schedules. So, 25 parts and 12 schedules. Then 104 amendments have been made to the Indian Constitution. Now, what is meant by this amendments? So, amendments to the Constitution. So, amendments basically means that changes in the Constitution or the provisions. So, changes in the constitutional provisions. So this is meant by amendments. So changes in the constitutional provisions. So 104 amendments have been made, which means that 104 times changes has been made to the provisions of the constitution. So we have 104 amendments to the constitution, changes to the constitution. Now, how is changes to the constitution made? It is made through a Constitutional Amendment Act. So I'll just explain that also. How are these amendments made? So, how are these amendments made? So, amendments are made through Constitutional Amendment Act. Okay. Now, the Parliament will present a constitutional amendment bill. So, a bill is being presented by the Parliament, and then it has to be passed. Okay. So, a bill will be brought in, and this has to be passed. And regarding Constitutional Amendment Act, 3/4, that is a special majority of the Parliament is required for the passing of the amendment bills. So special majority of the Parliament is required. Special majority of both the houses is required. And in some cases, if the amendment aims to change or alter the federal structure of the constitution or any federal features, we can say, if it aims to change any federal features of the constitution, then this also requires the consent of at least 50% of the states. So half of the states will have to consent, give their consent for the making of the change to any of the federal features or any of the features that will change the federal nature. Okay. Now, for example, GST, goods and services tax. So this required a constitutional amendment, and also it required consent of the states because it changes some of the federal features of the constitution. Okay. Now, let's come to the drafting of the constitution. So this is regarding drafting of constitution. The Constituent Assembly, it took 2 years, 11 months and 18 days, almost 3 years. Okay. So Constituent Assembly took almost 3 years for framing the constitution, and that is why we also have a lengthy constitution. So Indian constitution is the longest written constitution or the lengthiest written constitution in the world. Now, regarding the enactment of the constitution, it was enacted on 26th of November 1949. So enacting and came into effect, both are different. So it was enacted on 26th of November 1949, whereas it came into effect on 26th of January 1950, and this is how we celebrate our Republic Day. Okay. And the word republic, what does it mean? The word republic means that the head of the state or the head of the government is elected directly by the people. Directly or elected by the people. Okay. So we can say elected by the people. So this is called the meaning of a republic. So Republic Day is when we adopted our constitution. Okay. Then the date 26 January. So how did this date come up? The 26th January, the date was chosen to commemorate the Purna Swaraj Declaration of Independence of 1930. So Purna Swaraj Resolution, one of the most important political parties of pre-independence India. Before getting independence, one of the most important political party we had in our country was the INC, that is the Indian National Congress. Okay. So yeah, so INC or the Indian National Congress was one of the most important political party. We also had many other political parties like Muslim League. There was Hindu Mahasabha. Then we also had CPI. Then there was RSS. So all these political organizations were there before independence. The most important one was the INC, Indian National Congress. So INC in 1930 had passed a resolution which declared Purna Swaraj. Okay, and that was on 26th of January, and to commemorate that day we have chosen the 26th of January as the day to make our constitution come into effect. Now regarding Constituent Assembly, so Constituent Assembly was with the responsibility of drafting the constitution. So drafting or preparation of the constitution was the function of Constituent Assembly. So drafting of the constitution. So Constituent Assembly had 284 members, out of which 15 were women. So out of 284 members, there were 15 women in the Constituent Assembly, which was responsible for drafting of the constitution. Now, the original copies of Indian Constitution, it was written in Hindi and in English. So original copies of the constitution were written in Hindi and English. It was handwritten by Prem Behari Narayan Raizada. So handwritten. So the constitution's original copies. The original copies were handwritten by Prem Behari Narayan Raizada, and it was decorated by artists from Shanti Niketan, including Biohar Ram Manohar Sinha and Nandalal Bose. So those artists from the Shanti Niketan had decorated the constitution, the handwritten written version of the constitution. Now let's come to some of the important sources of our constitution, very important, and which will also give you a very good idea about how did we take up certain provisions of the constitution, from whichever sources we have taken this provisions of the constitution. So a very important role was played by the Government of India Act by the British administration in India in 1935. So in 1935 the British passed this Government of India Act, GOI Act, which is a very important legislation which helped us to take certain features from this act and impart this in the constitution. So these are some of the provisions that we have borrowed from the Government of India Act of 1935. It includes federal scheme, office of the governor, judiciary, public service commission, emergency provisions, administrative details. So all these we have borrowed from the Government of India Act of 1935. Then we borrowed certain features from the British Constitution itself, which includes parliamentary system, rule of law. So what is meant by parliamentary system? So we have a parliament, and on the contrary of parliamentary system we have the presidential system. Okay. In US we have the presidential system, and India is a very good example of parliamentary system. So we borrowed this feature of parliamentary system from British Constitution, then the provision of rule of law, then this is legislative procedure, LE, legislative procedure, that is how a bill is introduced, how a bill is passed in the parliament to become an act. So legislative procedure, how the legislature functions. So legislature, how the representatives or how the legislation functions. So parliament is the legislation in India. Then in case of union government, parliament, and in the case of state, we have the state legislative assemblies and the councils. Then single citizenship. Single citizenship means that a person who is a citizen of India cannot become a citizen of any other country. And also another important thing regarding single citizenship is that so there is only one citizenship for Indians, that is Indian citizenship. We have states, we have the union government also. Now suppose a person from Kerala and another person from Tamil Nadu, another person from Maharashtra. So whichever state this person or these persons belongs to, they have only one citizenship, that is Indian citizenship. So based on the states from they originate, they do not become citizens of that states. So they have only one citizenship, that is Indian citizenship. That is regarding single citizenship. Then regarding the cabinet system, so we have a cabinet. Cabinet means, so cabinet means it's a group of ministers who hold the most important portfolios. So group of ministers who hold the most important portfolios. Now regarding cabinet system, so basically for the cabinet system, the purpose of cabinet is to make the procedure easy. So cabinet is the highest decision making body of the government. So cabinet contains the ministers, or the members of the cabinet are those ministers who hold the most important portfolios in the government. So the cabinet system of government, this is also adopted from British Constitution. Then prerogative writs. So writs are exercised by constitutional courts, that is the Supreme Court and the High Court. So they exercise the power of the writs. This is again a fundamental right guaranteed under the Constitution. So this provision is also taken from British Constitution. Then regarding parliamentary privileges. So parliamentary privileges, and then finally the provision of bicameralism. So what is meant by bicameralism? It means two houses. So in parliament we have two houses, that is our Rajya Sabha and the Lok Sabha. Rajya Sabha is the upper house and Lok Sabha is the lower house. Then when it comes to state legislatures, either the state government can have two houses, state legislature can have two houses, the legislative assembly and council, or only the legislative assembly. So this is the sources of our constitution. Then again, we have also adopted certain provisions from the US Constitution. So US Constitution, those features adopted from US Constitution is fundamental rights, independence of the judiciary. So fundamental rights, the rights guaranteed by Constitution, which are fundamental to the citizens and outsiders also. Certain fundamental rights are only available to citizens, whereas there are certain fundamental rights which are also available to outsiders. So these are guaranteed by the Constitution. Nobody can take away the fundamental rights from you except in certain situations. There are exceptions, they are not coming without exceptions, but they are not absolute. So we can say that not absolute, but there are certain conditions, not absolute. Okay. Then independence of judiciary. Then the judicial review. Judicial review, what very important provision. So what is meant by judicial review? Now we know that the law making authority, that is the legislative authority, lies with the parliament. So whenever the parliament makes a law or comes up with a legislation, the judiciary, that is the Supreme Court or the High Courts also, can see whether these provisions are in line with the constitutional principles. So this is called judicial review. So judicial review is again a very important feature of our constitution, which is borrowed from the US Constitution. Next is the procedure for the impeachment of the president. So this is also borrowed from US Constitution. And in US they have a presidential system of the government. So impeachment of the president. And in India, the president can be impeached only on account of violation of the constitution. So this is the only charge against which the president can be impeached. Next is regarding removal of Supreme Court and High Court judges. So the provision is proved misbehavior or incapacity. So these are the conditions under which the Supreme Court and the High Court judges can be removed. Then the post of Vice President. So Vice President has to come from Rajya Sabha. So the post of Vice President, all these are the features that we have adopted from US Constitution. Next is Irish Constitution. So Irish Constitution, from Ireland we have borrowed the DPSP. DPSPs are the directive principles of state policy. Okay. Then nomination of members of Rajya Sabha. So there are 12 nominated members in our upper house, Rajya Sabha. So President can nominate 12 members to the Rajya Sabha. So this provision of nomination of members to Rajya Sabha by the President is also a provision that we have taken from Irish Constitution. Next is the method of election of President. Okay. Method of election of President. How the President is elected. So how a President is elected, this is also followed according to the Irish constitutional provisions. Next is Canadian Constitution. So from Canadian Constitution also we have adopted several features. One is federation with a strong center. So this is a very important feature. So even though we have a federal form of government where we have union government and the state governments, the union government is more powerful than the state government. So union and the state. So the union government is more powerful, that is stronger. So federation with a strong center. Then vesting of residuary powers in the center. That means residuary powers means we have 3 lists actually. So 3 lists is there: union list, state list and the concurrent list. Now union list contains those items for which the union government can make the legislation. Now we have a state list for which the state government can make the legislation, and we have a concurrent list for which the both the union and the state government can make legislation. Now residuary powers means those items which will not come in any of these 3 lists. So this comes under residuary powers, and those residuary powers lies with the central government. Okay. So this again empowers the central government. Then appointment of the state governor by the center. So in every state we have a governor for that particular state, and this governor is appointed by the central government. Then next is the advisory jurisdiction of the Supreme Court. So it's exercised in Article 143. So advisory jurisdiction, which means that the union government can ask the Supreme Court for any advice or any legal help or aid. Then next is Australian Constitution. We will see what are the provisions that we have adopted from Australian Constitution. So from Australian Constitution we have adopted the provision of concurrent list and the joint sitting of the houses. Now what is concurrent list? Concurrent list means a list which contains those items for which both the union government and the state government, both union and the states can make law or can legislate upon those matters mentioned in the list. So both union and the state. Now another thing regarding the concurrent list is that if the both the state government and the union government makes any legislation regarding any items on the concurrent list, then the law made by the union government will prevail. Okay, that is also there. Next is regarding the Constitution of Germany. From Germany, what are the provisions that we have adopted? Sorry, again I forgot to describe the joint sitting. So joint sitting means if a bill is not passed, suppose if a bill is introduced in the parliament and if it's not passed, then the speaker or the vice president, that is the chairman of Rajya Sabha or the speaker of the Lok Sabha, can call for a joint sitting. Okay, can convene a joint sitting and pass the bill. Now, next is from the Constitution of Germany. Okay, suspension of fundamental rights during the emergency. So this is one feature, that is suspension of fundamental rights during the emergency. So during emergency, the fundamental rights can be suspended. That's why I said fundamental rights are not absolute. Okay, so this is one feature that we have adopted from the Constitution of Germany. Next is from the French Constitution, that is the Constitution of France. We have adopted the republic and the ideals of liberty, equality and fraternity in the preamble. So in the preamble, from the French Revolution, the motto or the slogan of the French Revolution itself was liberty, equality and fraternity. So we have adopted these three principles into our constitution in the preamble itself. So preamble is the soul of the constitution. It gives us an idea about what the constitution is based on, or what are the principles that the constitution uphold. So the French constitution, from there we have adopted the republic, the idea of republic and the ideals of liberty, equality and fraternity. Now from Japanese constitution, we have adopted this provision of procedure established by law. So do not confuse, procedure established by law is adopted from Japan, and rule of law, it has been adopted by from Britain. Next is from South African Constitution. So from the South African Constitution, we have adopted the provision of amendment of the Constitution. So as we discussed in the beginning, the Constitution has been amended 104 times. So this provision of amendment means making any changes to the constitutional provisions. So this provision of amendment has been adopted from South African Constitution. And election of members of Rajya Sabha. So election of members of Rajya Sabha, this has also been adopted from the South African Constitution. So election of members of Rajya Sabha and the procedure for amendment. So these two provisions. So election of members of Rajya Sabha is indirect. So indirect elections are there. So this is also adopted from the South African Constitution. Then the Constitution of former USSR, because before 1991 we had the USSR and it got disintegrated later, disintegration of USSR. So before the disintegration we had the USSR, and from the USSR Constitution we adopted provisions like procedure for 5-year plan. Before Niti Aayog, now we have the Niti Aayog, which is the policy think tank of the Government of India. So Niti Aayog basically replaced the Planning Commission. Earlier we had the Planning Commission. So Planning Commission was responsible for drafting 5-year plans in the country. So these procedure of 5-year plans were adopted from USSR Constitution. Then the fundamental duties. So fundamental duties and ideals of justice in the preamble. So all these were adopted from USSR. Okay. So this is regarding the constitutional provisions that are borrowed from some other constitution. So I think we will wind up the session here. And you may be having a lots of doubt and all. So you can comment it. Okay. And also one more thing, from tomorrow we will be continuing the live session. So we will be continuing this module in the live sessions. You can join for the live. Every day we will have the live session at 7:30 p.m. So you can join the live session, and you can also ask your friends to join. So we will be doing the entire paper 1. So paper 1 will be available on our YouTube channel. This will be free for everyone. Those who have subscribed to our online courses or those who have not, it's free for everyone. So you can attend the classes for paper 1. So every day 7:30 we have live sessions, and live sessions are even more interactive because you can clear off your doubts then and there. So tomorrow I will start with a quick revision of whatever we learned today, because maybe there are few students who have missed the class. So tomorrow we will start with the quick revision, and we will continue this module. I'll just give you an idea about how we will be continuing with this module. Next we will be discussing about the preamble, then about the fundamental rights, then right to equality, right to freedom, right against exploitation, right to freedom of religion, cultural and education rights, and right to constitutional remedies. So we will be discussing all the fundamental rights. Okay. Then we will come to DPSP, Directive Principles of State Policy, then fundamental duties, then the list of fundamental duties for citizens. Then we will discuss about the President, Vice President, Prime Minister, Council of Ministers, the Union Legislature, which consists of Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha, then State Executive, then State Legislature, Indian Judiciary. Then we will discuss about the important government bodies like the Election Commission, UPSC, Public Service Commissions, Finance Commission, CAG, Attorney General, Solicitor General, National Human Rights Commission, Central Vigilance Commission, Niti Aayog, which is a policy think tank, very important, CBI. Then we will come to important government schemes and policies like the MGNREGA, Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana, Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sinchai Yojana, Atal Pension Yojana, Janani Suraksha Yojana, Pradhan Mantri Vaya Vandana Yojana, Stand Up India, Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana, Jan Arogya Yojana, Deen Dayal Antyodaya Yojana, Pradhan Mantri Suraksha Bhima Yojana, Make in India, Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhyay Shramev Jayate Yojana, Beti Bachao Beti Patao, Amrit, Mudra, National Livelihood Mission, Kaushal Vikas Yojana, Smart City Mission, Pradhan Mantri Jeevan Jyoti Bima Yojana, then Hriday Scheme, Awas Yojana, Prasad Scheme, Sansad Adarsh Yojana, Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, Shyam Prasad Mukherjee Rurban Scheme. So these are the schemes that we will be discussing. So don't worry, don't get so much tensed and worried seeing all this. We will take up the session in a very interesting manner, and I'll make sure you will be able to understand, and also you will be getting a conceptual clarity regarding all these. These are all the topics mentioned in your syllabus itself, so don't think that I'm taking too much and all. So this is all mentioned in your syllabus only. So very, very important, I will say. So please do try to attend the live sessions, because you will be maximum benefited from the live sessions. Okay. And one more thing is that tell your friends also to join for the live sessions. Then all these live sessions are free for everyone. So please yourself join and tell your friends also to join for the live sessions. And with this module, we will be completing this particular unit, unit 10 also. So I hope this video was helpful to you, and if you like the video, please do press the like button and let me know in the comment sections how do you feel about the video, and please try to join for the live sessions from tomorrow, which will be at 7:30 p.m. Thank you so much for watching. Please do share. Thank you so much.